Good morning. Welcome to my birthday class. Turning 49 is divine. I just thought I would share the class with you, and it would technically will be 49 minutes, but those of you that know me know it may go a little bit over. So I have allotted an hour and 15 minutes, but I will try and keep within 49 minute kind of range. I've started on a tri-folded blanket. Okay, so I've taken a blanket that was folded in half and brought it into a tri-fold or accordion fold. And just coming to sit and really trying to center your sitting bones on that. If you require 2 blankets, you could, add a second blanket. Depending on maybe if you're a little bit tight in the groin or knees, you might need that extra height. So I've added that second blanket just to show you. Okay, so I'm finding sitting bones, centering the tailbone between the sitting bones, crossing at the shins. There's not even just at the ankles. And sometimes, people will come into a Siddhasana like so, but we're really kind of flopping and opening out, which I'm not saying is necessarily bad, but even in this pose of Siddhasana, we want it to be a little more contained in that you feel the points of contact, not just, everything spilling out. There is some movement required to find and descend your foundation down. That you're kind of collecting that back in, that as we place the body down, we then begin to bring that back in. So I'll just maybe go through then a few of the options so we can cross more at the shins and then come to the tops of the feet, readjust, and again you feel the sitting bones, keeping the hips parallel, just really watching one hip isn't dropping down more than the other. If that was the case, you might need a little bit more height, so that we feel, again, that lift of the spine and able to not just, release the legs down, opening at that front groin, but also keep the spine lengthening. Those that maybe want to go more into that Siddhasana, catching the inner knee, we want to come more to the top of the shin, same on the other side, and then you actually stack the heels, tuck those front top toes in, trying to descend and come more onto the top of the shins down, as opposed to, as I had said before, just having the legs swaying there. So top of the shin, top of the shin. There's a external rotation of the thigh bone into hip socket, and then rotate the fingers to your support. I have the fingers right now pointing forward. Feel that inner top edge of the shoulder blade lift out, and almost like a bit of a waterfall from that inner top edge of your shoulder blade coming out to the outer edge of the shoulder blade and down. So it's almost like there's 2 dials on the back, one turning clockwise, the other counterclockwise. Opening out, spreading, let the front armpit chest lift and really clear that back armpit to the front. Move the outer elbows in a little bit, just to really notice how that helps the action of the shoulder blades. Keep the front false ribs moving in and soften the abdomen, soften the face and throat. You can even then turn the palms back. You can catch the blankets and just pull gently, not to push the chest too much forward, but actually to feel the lift coming up. And then let the hands come to the top of the legs. Again, really feel the back of the elbow, inner outer elbow release down. The eyes steady, gazing forward. Then over the next few breaths, you can gently let the top eyelid release down. Softening the corners of the eyes, the skin of the eyelid, temples. The eye itself recede back. Release the corners of the mouth. And the softness coming as you relax the tongue. That softness coming in the throat, the neck. And just come to focus now on your breath. And we feel that outer alignment of the body, inner precision as we align the spine, the spinal muscles, organs, move into their natural position. Bring the awareness to the head. And breathe into the skull, feel a spaciousness and relaxing of the eyes, the brain, that back brain stem down the neck. The abdomen gently expand as you inhale and lightly release back. Begin to feel the breath move into the chest, the lungs expanding. Softness on the release, the out breath. Each inhalation, feel a lift and spread internally. The outer body release, the out breath. And then we can slowly let the hands come to the heart, the thumbs at the base of the sternum lifting, the fingers together moving away from the chest. Surrendering the head to the heart, gaze inward to the heart. Gratitude for this practice, an opportunity to practice, to benefit ourselves and those around us. Let the chin release further down as we open the eyes, and then let the hands come to the legs. The next in-breath, slowly lift the head, and then gently roll the shoulders. We'll change the cross of the legs, so whether you were in more Sukhasana at the shins, or coming against Siddhasana, where you're trying to come more to the top of the shin. So it's that, again, external rotation at the thigh, but also the calf right here. If you want to bifurcate the calf, cut it in half, kind of down to let that roll out, opening at that inner knee. And then with the second leg, I'm tucking the toes in, trying to stack the heels and come equally on the shins, and again, equally on the sitting bones. 10th, the fingertips, lift the chest, bring the hands together, interlacing, extend, and reaching up. As you lift and lengthen up, press the sitting bones, shins down. Really notice if you're hardening in the throat and face. Okay? Try and relax, release in the face and throat. Lift and stretch up. Let the whole perineum, that pelvic floor, lift up as you stretch the arms up. Feel the stretch through the sides, through the spine. Release the arms back. Change the interlace of the fingers and extend. Lift and lengthen up. Open up through the sides, through the armpit. Palms as much as you can facing up. This time we'll open the throat, looking up. Keep pressing those shins down if you're in Siddhasana as you lift and lean back. So there's that balancing here even as we sit. That fine point of the sitting bones, the shins. Front hip bones lift up. Levelize the head. Come back. We'll release the legs and come briefly into Dandasana, into our staff pose. Let's move back here slightly and see the feet. So in Dandasana, opening up the bottoms of the feet. Centering again the thigh, knee, shin, toes point up. Press the palms to the floor or your support. Inhale, extend the arms up. This time really wrap that outer arm in so that the your elbow creases face in, palms face in. Descend the sitting bones down. Feel where your inner edge of the sitting bones are. Come a bit to the outer edge of the sitting bones. And then really descend the center of the sitting bones down. Feel the back of the knees open and descend. The thigh bone press down as we lift and extend up. Keep extending up. Stay for a few breaths. Try and find a little bit more space between each rib. Turn the palms then forward. Turn the palms out and then bring the arms down parallel to the floor. Turn the thumbs towards the floor. Sweep the arms behind. See if you can catch the elbows, not the elbows, the forearms. Rolling the front tip of the shoulder bone back. Feel the shoulder blades move in. But not just pushing that inner edge of the shoulder blade in. Actually move that inner edge of the shoulder blade back and feel more of a spread in the back body. And then release the arms, let them sweep back up. We'll repeat that, holding the arms the other way. Keep firm through the legs. Those kneecaps tuck up, engage the quadriceps. Press the thighs down. Extend up through the sides. Turn again the palms forward, then the palms out. Let the arms come down, shoulder height for a breath. Open up the feet, the bottoms of the feet open. And then sweeping the arms behind, so you can catch the opposite way. Yeah, forearms or wrists or elbows. Lifting the armpit chest, right? That back armpit comes around to the front. Spread through the collarbones. And then we can release. Come forward, shake out the legs. We'll turn here. So I have these two blankets. And now I'll just turn to the side so you can see from the side. I'm going to kind of stack them like so. This one will be like a tail coming off the back a little bit. Coming forward, knees more or less together. And the tops of the feet on the blanket, but the toes hanging off the back edge of the blanket. So you come back again, bifurcate the calf. So you kind of press, opening up the calf so that, half the calf will roll out, half the calf kind of goes in. Opening up the back of the knee, we come to sit back down. Okay. So here I'm sitting between the feet and a little bit of mound of the blanket. If you feel that you need a little bit more height for your knees or anything, you can fold that blanket up, kind of roll the blanket up, and you get a little bit more height. If you need even more height, you could add another block or blanket to lift the hips up higher. Okay? So that lifting the hips doesn't actually just push the chest forward. We want to ascend the spine up. So just say if I added a little bit more height, you might need to go back a little bit more. We don't want to just catch the edge of the sitting bone. We want to be, firm on the sitting bone so that we can sit up nice and tall. So take the height you need, if that's better for your feet, your knees, or your back. So this is a variation of Virasana. It can be a good stretch for the top of the feet, the ankles. We just don't want to push the heel too far forward. We want this heel to open up a little bit. Virasana, bringing the hands to the top of the knees. You could, if you can, come forward even and catch the knees, and that will depend on how much height you're sitting on, and even the movement at the top of the hip. But if we can catch the knees and almost roll a little bit the inner knee out. Inner knee out. Like there's dials on the knees, and just as I talked of one going clockwise, counterclockwise for the shoulder blades, the same here for the knees. So kind of roll the inner knee out, lifting up, let those back ribs coil in, lifting up, lift the chest, and let the hands slide more, top of the legs. Keep looking up, coming back, not jarring the lower back. I really feel the sit bones release down and open, the buttock spreading a little bit. The shoulder blades move in, but again, those dials of the back. Giving space at the neck, levelize the head, bring the chin towards the chest. Stay here just a few breaths, also quieting the brain, keeping the eyes soft. It's getting that stretch in the tops of the feet, kind of the squeeze of the legs, be really good for the circulation so that when we release, the blood comes back. Stay 4 breaths. Stay another 2 or 3 breaths. Lift the head, eyes open, can release, coming forward. So we're kind of lifting up, coming hands and knees. Tuck the toes under. Spread the fingers. Feel those outer hips lift. Firm through the arms, lifting the hips up. We'll press up and back into Adho Mukha, into a downward facing dog pose. We adjust the legs if needed so that they're more hip width apart, the arm shoulder width apart. Think of how we brought the arms up overhead before. Keep lengthening the arms, lengthening through the sides. Okay, still thinking of the waist coming off the hips, so we're trying to, stretch here, the hips lifting, the spine sides lengthening. Descending the heels down. Come forward, bend the knees slightly. See if you can bring your toe mounds up onto those blankets. You may need to adjust the hands here and see if you can sink the heels back just a little bit. A little bit more stretch to the back of the legs. Come forward, the heels on the blanket, toes on the floor. Walk the hands
back. Bend the knees, of course, if you need. If you're feeling that too much in the hamstrings, your hips are back, bend the knees. And when you bend the knees, really try and feel that you're bending right at the top of the thighs. Okay, so we're not bending at the waist, okay, and not even the top of the hip, top of your thigh, okay. Sometimes bending the knees, you get more of a feeling where the top of your thigh is. So you might need to keep your knees bent to maintain that. Sometimes you can get that when you bend the knees, but when you start to straighten the legs, you come more back to bending at your waist or top hip. So then keep your knees bent so that as you practice over time, it will come, you can straighten the legs and bend at the top of the thigh. But just go to where you're at today. Okay? Those that can, start to straighten the legs, still really descend the heels down, bring a little bit more weight into the heels, and lift the sitting bones up. Back of the heel pressing down, sitting bones lifting. Try and create as much distance between your heel and your sitting bone. Okay? Stretch that between the heel and the sitting bone. Try and extend that distance. Or Uttanasana. Come up on the fingertips. Lift the chest, concave back. So if you need blocks, get some blocks or some support under the hands. Concave back. Okay, so if you need it, come down, get your chair or blocks. So chair is a little bit more height if needed. That would be okay if you're working on any back injuries. Scoliosis, even sometimes you want a little bit more height so you can really align the spine better. You can take the height of the blocks. Concave back, really feel the upper back. Come back to those shoulder blades, where you feel the inner upper edge of your shoulder blade like dials. The right will be going clockwise, the left counterclockwise. And then the same down here at the tailbone, like dials here. The left going clockwise, right counterclockwise. So you're elongating the spine, just as I talked of creating as much length between the heel and the sitting bone, create as much length between the top of the spine and base of the spine. Separate the sitting bones. Firm the legs as much as you can and lift the hips up. Bend the knees. Step off of your blanket. We'll come up into Tadasana, into our mountain pose. If you can, step the feet together, mountain pose. Stay a few breaths. And then we'll release. Let's move these blankets for right now. We will use them again in just a little bit. Take our blocks just to the sides here. Have them a little bit behind your heels, okay, to the back edge of your mat, behind the heels, so that you don't step or jump on them when we step the feet apart. So into a mountain pose. Feet together if you can. If you're working any knee hip issues, step the feet about hip width apart. And just as we did when we were sitting, inhale, extend the arms up. And see now when we're standing, if you can get a little bit more length, and coming back to your Adho Mukha Svanasana, your downward facing dog pose, can you really stretch and lengthen, right? How did our dog pose actually help us to improve our Urdhva Hastasana? Or can our Urdhva Hastasana really help improve our Adho Mukha Svanasana, our downward dog? Keep lifting, lift the kneecaps more and more. Press the heels down. Try to, again, increase that distance from sitting bone to the heel. Let the heels almost feel like they're going through the floor. Let those front hip bones lift up. Bring the arms out to the sides, bend the knees, step or jump the feet apart. Keeping the left foot stable, pressing down, cut the right leg out. Right from the top of the thigh. Bring that right foot back, cut the left foot out. Bring the left foot back. Let's do that a couple more times. Just getting that action. And if you need, hands can come to the hips. Okay. Cut the right leg out. Watch this back thigh doesn't drop down. Lift that back inner thigh up. Press the front big toe mound down. Press the 4 points of your feet directly down. Sometimes they feel like they're sliding out. Press them down and feel that lift up. Okay, lift up as you press the feet down. Okay? Sometimes, again, we feel like they're sliding as we press, but if you really press down, did you see the change in my front leg? Okay, press down, a little bit more action. Go to the other side, left leg turning out. And again, that pressing down. Instead of just sliding, press down. Feel that different engagement when we do that. Turn in, you might need to heel toe in, step or jump back to Tadasana. Stay a few breaths. Hands can always be on the hips if needed for these poses, if you're working any neck or shoulder issues or just feeling that it's getting a bit tiring. Okay, then bring the hands to the hips. So we can start there, hands on the hips. And then come to bring the elbows forward and just feel how that changes in the back, and then wrap the elbows back, okay? But just that movement of the elbow changes the chest, the back. So wrap those outer elbows back. Use the thumb to move the top of the buttock down. The sternum lifts up, spread the collarbones. You can extend the arms, bend the knees, step or jump out. You can go a little bit wider. Turn the left foot in slightly. Cut the right leg out. Get that lifting up again. Exhale, coming down, hand to your chair, block, or floor. So if the block isn't high enough for you, take a chair. Okay, something a little bit more with more height. Lift and lengthen through the sides. Looking up to the top hand. And keep the 4 points of the feet pressing down and that lift the rest of the body up. Try not to let the feet feel like they're just sliding. Press down. Revolve from the lower waist, lower ribs to look up to the top hand. Uttanasana Trikonasana. Inhale, come up. Turn the right foot in. Left leg out. Press those 4 points of the feet down. So you roll, especially the front inner thigh rolls out. The inner thighs roll away from each other, but don't let that just pinch the buttock into the tailbone. There's supposed to be that little bit of spread in that buttock area. The right going to the right, the left to the left. There's a lot of little subtle things that go on over time. It's not just, jump feet apart, turn one leg out, go bring the hand down. But over time, we find more and more inner precision. So that outer body alignment is to help us gain more inner precision, inner awareness. Bringing the hand down, maintaining everything else, bringing the hand down to your floor block or chair. Okay. That top arm, extend up. Press the feet down, right? Feel the rest lift up. Keep pressing the feet down to inhale to come back up. Turn the left foot in, heel toe in a little bit if you need. Step or jump back to Tadasana, to mountain pose. Stay for a few breaths. Okay, so let's just raise the blocks up a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to come to staging the stance a little bit. Okay, so if we step or jump out, I'm going to bring my left foot back to the back edge of my mat, step my right foot forward to the front inner edge of the mat. So I have two mats here. So just to that one inner edge. So left heel going to the back, maybe to separate your legs a little bit more, front foot to the front inner edge, and just aligning that inner foot to the heel and the toe. So it's not just the toe, but get that heel and toe. Okay. So now we're really rolling the inner legs out. We're working at finding the top of the thighs. When we bend, we're finding the top of the thigh as opposed to bending at hip or waist when we go down in our poses. Okay. It also gives a little bit more freedom in the hips. Press that back heel. So I can sink, or I can press straight the feet down, let everything else kind of lift up. This time we're going to bend the front knee. If you bend the front knee, sit that front sitting bone down, but also have that feeling that front sitting bone's coming forward. Spine lifting up, coming to that, finding that top of your thigh bone, or variation Virasana 2. Don't let that back inner thigh sink, but lift, right? Press the feet down, lift everything else up. Sitting bone coming down, look over the front hand. And then bring the hand down to your block. You might be able to lower the block. Top arm can kind of come up and over the ear. Uttanasana Virasana. You come down any amount more, not just dropping that back thigh. So here the back thigh is dropping, right? Feet press, legs lift a little bit. Look up past that top arm. And then we'll come back up. Turn the front foot in. You'll heel toe in a little bit till you feel safe to come to standing. And then we'll repeat that to the other side. So from our mountain pose, inhale, extend the arms, bend the knees, step or jump out. Stepping the right foot back, left foot forward. So we're staggering our stance. Getting that front hip to really come under. Often in our standing poses, it sticks out. So this action can really suck that buttock in. Let it puff this front of the back thigh though. Push that back. Press the feet down, everything else lifting up, right? Not sliding. You're kind of gripping with the toes to hang on, but pressing down to lift up. Feel that action. Just feel how it changes from just being here to pressing the feet down. Carefully bend the front knee. Keep that front buttock coming under. Let the side body lift up. The spine elongate. Then the hand can come down to your floor, block, or chair. And don't just sink down now, right? There's still that little bit of lift up. So that as you go up and down, it's not sinking down and then having to struggle to get back up. You're maintaining that lift up and down, comes with more ease, okay? So inhale, feel the lungs fill and inflate. Create space within. Maintaining that action through the legs, that we inhale to come back up. Turn the left foot in, heel toe in, stepping back to Tadasana, mountain pose. So you can do that kind of staggering with a lot of the poses, triangle pose also, but we're going to come back to the original stance, stepping, jumping the feet apart, and we'll come into both triangle and warrior two. Just now with that awareness in the hips and legs. From Tadasana, inhale, extend the arms, bend the knees, step or jump out, and go a little bit wider if you need. Let's bring the hands, not even just to the top of the hips, but to that top of the thigh bone. Find that top of the thigh bone. Left foot can turn in slightly, right leg out, pressing down for that lift. right? Lift up. The muscles evenly engaged, lifting up, front and back. Extend the arms if you can, and we'll bend the front knee. Remember how much that front buttock came under from that last pose. Keep that buttock coming under in your Virasana too. Keep the sides lifting, lengthening up. Pressing down, feel that lift up as you sit the front hip down. Bring the hand to your floor or block. Top arm coming up. Looking up over the top arm, past the top arm. Straighten the front leg. Here will come Uttanasana Trikonasana. Press the feet down. Lift the legs. Feel that spaciousness come around the hip socket, through the abdomen, through the chest. That inner precision, the outer body alignment, the movement of the breath within. The consciousness elongating, spreading. And then we'll inhale to come up. Turn the right foot in. Bring the hands back, top of the thighs. Readjust if you need before we go to the other side. Right foot might turn in slightly. Left leg out 90 degrees. So that pressing down to lift up. And extend the arms. And the front knee, keep trying to move that front buttock under, thinking back to that staggered stance. We can hand to the floor, block, or chair. Top arm can stay on the hip, working any neck, shoulder issues. Top arm can come up. Look forward or down if you do have any neck or shoulder issues, or it just feels like it's straining the neck too much. Otherwise, we can look up past the top arm. Straighten the front leg. Keep that feeling of the 4 points of the feet pressing down. Everything else lifting. With that lifted feeling, a lightness comes. That earth element of the legs, or the air element of the torso. The warmth, the fire, the space around you. Breath flowing. Inhale to come back up. And turn that front foot in, heel toe in, stepping or jumping back to Tadasana. Stay just a few breaths. From here, we'll release. Coming back down to our mat, we'll come back to an Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog pose. We'll start first in Adho Mukha Virasana, knees apart, toes together. Bring the hips back towards the heels. Just using the blocks. Okay, to raise the arms a little bit higher. Not to let the head drop lower than the arms, but press the palms, just like I said with the feet, press those 4 points of the palms down. The heel, the finger mounds, okay, so it might feel like a little more than 4 points, but getting that action of pressing the knuckles down, the heel of the hand down, the inner outer arm lengthening equally. You press the thumb side down, roll the inner upper arm out. So the kind of forearm rolls in, the upper arm rolls out. To really bring that stability to the arm. But just like with the legs, we don't want these elbows just to drop down. Okay, there's that lift up when you press the palms down, directly down, feel a little bit of that lift up. And then with the shoulder blades, feel that action of the dials, right? About turning out clockwise, left counterclockwise, tailbone the opposite way, the right counterclockwise, the left clockwise, and there's this opening to elongate the spine. Give space to the spinal muscles, space at the neck, the shoulders. So those inner edge of the shoulder blades don't just drop down. Think of them almost lifting up a little bit. And bring the hands just to the floor. Take one or both of your blocks. If you need a little bit more height, you can use both your blocks. Rest your forehead. We're going to just let the arms come out to the sides and even come around behind. You could even catch hold of the heels. The shin bone descend. And release the feet. Just come up here, bring the knees in. Walking the hands forward, we can move the blocks. Walk the knees back a little bit, tuck the toes under. We'll come up into Adho Uttanasana. Try to feel the palms of the hands, the soles of the feet again, pressing down directly, not just, touching the floor and feeling more like they're sliding back, like they're going directly down. And feel the lift up with that action. As the hands, feet press down, everything else kind of lifting, extending. From here, come into a plank. Just the feet if needed. Roll a little bit side to side. With that plank, the feet, the hips. Come down to the knees if you need, otherwise lower, chaturanga, and then to the floor. Keep the toes tucked under, just for right now, so that you can suck the thigh bone up. Suck the thigh muscle to the thigh bone and lift up, deflating and moving that top of the thigh bone away from that top hip crease. And then extend the toes, extend the arms, rest the forehead. Feel those actions that kind of dials here at the tailbone, at the shoulders, so the spine lifts, the spine elongates. Bring the awareness to your breath. It'll help to lengthen the spine. Almost feel like you're, inflating yourself. Right? If we were kind of all here crumpled, and then we start to use the breath to inflate ourselves. Keep that space at the neck, those shoulder blades. Move away from each other, that top inner edge spreads out. Tailbone spreading, feel that length. Feel the legs, the arms inflating. The torso, the head and neck. And then slowly release down. And bring the arms up, cross the forearms, rest the forehead. And after the next exhalation, just really slowly bring the arms to the sides, close to the shoulders. Readjust the legs. Come back to that same action of that inflating feeling, the spine lengthening. We're beginning, you start to lift up, but it's not really the action of the arms or any forceful, muscular action almost. Let the breath fill and expand. Those outer elbows moving in, so the shoulder blades move in. And then exhale to release. Tuck the toes under, press back. Walk the knees in towards the hands. If you can come sit on the heels for a few breaths. If not, you can take your blankets. We'll be using them right away. Again, just onto the feet so you can sit up a little bit more. And then we'll release. So I've kept these blankets in that tri-fold. We're going to go back with one across the mat and one coming on top. I'm going to just start sitting on the floor, just at the bottom of the blanket, sitting bones on the floor. Knees bent, feet on the floor. Just see that you'll be aligned with your blanket as you come down. Lift and readjust. So the top of the buttock moving away towards the tailbone. You'll feel the sacrum come and touch. And here I've lifted the sacrum up off the blanket. Then move the sacrum to touch the blanket. Release down. It's a little bit of a chest opener. The head may go back a little bit, but hopefully you'll feel that's enough support with the way the blanket is. Okay. We will be kind of sliding a little bit more head side in a moment, but feel the spine on your blanket, the head going back just a little bit. Keep the inner arms rolling out. If you feel parts of your spine not touching the blanket, see if you can, just adjust and allow more of your back to come into touch with your blanket. Let the body surrender into the blanket, the back body, the front body lifting and expanding. Now we just slide a little bit to the head side. So you might need to walk your feet in a little bit. Use the arms as you need. Lift the hips just a little bit. So now feel the end of your kind of tailbone just on that lower edge of the blanket. So it is lifted, your hips are off the floor, tailbone just at that lower edge of the blanket. But to kind of slide yourself, press the feet and let yourself come a little bit more off. So now that we'll have the head on the floor, okay, back of the head on the floor. Hopefully this blanket gives some support to your neck enough. The roundness of that little lump in your blanket stack kind of filling in to help lift the chest. And this time, if it feels all right on your back, let the legs extend, toes pointing up first, and then let the legs release out. Now readjust a little bit if you need for your proportions of your body. The legs, the arms release. I'm going to bring the arms down just a little bit so that the arm is below the shoulder. We really cleared that armpit area. The arms release, the legs release. The throat soften. Stay a few breaths longer. Inner quietness, spaciousness within. Feel that rise and fall of the breath. The next exhalation, we wrap the outer legs in, bend the knees. The elbows in. We press, lift from the chest, inhale to come back up. Come back to sitting on the floor. We'll remove that lower blanket. Readjust the top one. And use that other blanket to cover yourself with. We'll stay on the floor, with sitting bones on the floor, hips on the floor. We come back down, allowing the spine to just surrender into the blanket. The shoulder blades just lift into the body. We extend the arms and legs for Shavasana. Try not to feel that inner edge of the shoulder blade lift up to get the chest open, but actually let it release down. More of a spreading. So it may not be quite, the puffing of the chest, If you really push those inner edge of the shoulder blades in, you get the lift of the chest, let the inner edge of the shoulder blades release down, and then let the breath fill and expand, creating space between the front body and the back body. Peacefulness that resides within you, expand within and around you. Carry that with you, then off of the mat.